This webinar today. I'm Eduardo Lees. I'm the Global Opportunities Manager here at Goldsmiths, and over the next half an hour we're going to introduce you to some of the global opportunities that you can apply for here at Goldsmiths, and also focus really on the virtual global opportunities with a Q&A with Malikah, who took part this summer. We're also delighted to have Remy on the line as well from Santander, who's going to introduce Santander Universities, who help fund this program for us as well, and critical to this delivery. Welcome Malikah, welcome Remy, and welcome everyone onto the call, and we hope this is a useful presentation. Just as an introduction, so I'm just going to give a very short overview of the global opportunities at Goldsmiths. Going to talk in particular about virtual global opportunities. Remy will do an introduction to Santander Universities, and then we'll start with we'll kick off with the Q&A with Malikah. There's a short quote from another student who did a virtual opportunity this summer, Davey, who did a summer school, who also recommends the experience. So in terms of a global opportunity, so we're the team at Goldsmiths that supports students to gain international experience, and you can do that through a number of different ways. So we offer an opportunity to study at a partner university for a term, generally funded by the Erasmus programme, to work abroad in Europe for 2 to 3 months, again funded by Erasmus, and then the two opportunities funded by Santander Universities, so study, work or volunteer abroad for 2 months or less, and virtual global opportunities as well. So lots of different ways to experience here at Goldsmiths. Obviously the current year is a slightly a tricky one in terms of the impact of coronavirus, and in particular in terms of travelling abroad, but as a positive, that has allowed us to develop more links in terms of virtual global opportunities, so that even if you're not able to travel, you can still gain that international experience from home. And then in terms of Brexit, there's also slight uncertainty over the opportunities in the future through the Erasmus programme and through study and work abroad. But we are working to try and mitigate that, and to try and still keep opportunities available to students to still gain that international experience. In terms of why it's important, we've seen this evidence from lots of different students who participated in the past, and from research projects, that international experience really gives you the kind of employability skills to succeed in an international workplace. You get a chance to experience different work and academic styles and environments, improve your self-confidence and independence. In particular with virtual global opportunities, the digital skills to succeed kind of in international working. You also gain a chance to kind of greater intercultural awareness and communication skills, and actually new relationships and networks to kind of for your future career or for future studies, or just in terms of having someone to go and visit in a different country at some time in the future. And I think as a recruiter, I know that when I see someone who's got international experience on their CV, it really does make you stand out from other people who don't. And it might, even if someone has got international experience on the recruiting panel, it's definitely something to talk about. It's a really good thing to talk about at an interview. So I think it does really help in terms of recruitment. If we look specifically at virtual global opportunities, which we're looking at today in particular, then these really are very interesting, as they allow you to build those skills from home, which obviously at the moment when it's really quite challenging to travel due to coronavirus, they still give you the opportunity to study or work virtually and engage internationally. The important point about these opportunities that they do involve interacting virtually with participants from across the world. So as Malikah will talk about in a second, the chance to really kind of get experience of working with different organizations, different cultures, different styles. And some of the examples of students who participated this year, the things that they did were virtual study abroad, maybe doing a summer school at a university. So we had a lot of students who did the Amsterdam summer school on a variety of different topics. Remote internships or online professional development courses with global focus. We had a lot of students interested in developing their language skills, and again that was something they did online, interacting with students and speaking French or Spanish or Arabic and with students from around the world. And the Erasmus Virtual Exchange, which is actually a free opportunity which comes around every so often during the year, and again a chance to meet with people from across Europe to discuss certain topics. So one student did a particular one on hate speech. At the moment, applications are not open for the funding, but we do basically offer funding to support students with these opportunities, again, provided by Santander Universities. And that funding will be launched in the spring term, so in January. And so just keep an eye on it, and I'll tell you the next steps on how to get involved in a second. In terms of finding placements, the way our funding works is that we ask students to find their own placements and then apply to us for funding. So here are a few things to think about. So you might want to look at partner universities. So I've mentioned the University of Amsterdam already, but Humboldt and FU Berlin also offered virtual opportunities this year. There's some excellent websites, goabroad.com or Go Overseas, which also provide a range of opportunities. And then these websites, Erasmus Intern and Eurodesk as well. In terms of getting involved, students apply for funding through an online application. As I said, the applications will launch in the new year, and funding is still to be confirmed. But if you meet our widening participation criteria, which I'll share in the chat shortly, you actually are eligible for additional funding as well to try and reduce those costs for you. There's lots of kind of guidance on our Go Abroad blog in terms of writing an application and in terms of what students have done in the past. And really the priority for applications, although we welcome applications from all students, priority will be given to widening participation students and those who haven't had international experience before. But we really do encourage you all to apply for the different levels of funding. Okay, that's a very short introduction from me, but I'm going to hand over to Remy to give you an overview of Santander Universities.
Thanks, Ed. Afternoon, everyone. I'm Rem. As Ed said, I work for Santander. I'm your relationship manager. My role is essentially to try to support you guys with funding for various different programs. So education programs such as this one, scholarships, entrepreneurship, so helping startups and students who want to start their business, and then various internships as well. Interestingly enough, my background is recruitment and HR and managing big graduate recruitment campaigns, as well as managing careers services before joining the amazing world of Santander. So I couldn't echo anymore that comment of Eduardo in terms of having the ability to demonstrate that you've done more than your studies at universities is essential. Certainly when it came to our graduate recruitment schemes that I was recruiting for, I think for me, any kind of example of students who have done more than just their studies, so whether that's being part of any societies, any activities that they've taken part, any scholarships that they've been involved with, it is a massive, massive difference in terms of how successful and how it makes your application stand out for sure. In terms of our involvement, we fund a great part of this program, and absolutely delighted to be able to support it. So for me, it's just very much a case of encouraging you to really apply, encouraging you to really give some thought as to what skills and strengths you want to grow through doing that program, and really being proactive. As I said on a couple of workshops this week, I think it's be brave. It is scary out there at the moment. But you need to get yourself out of your comfort zone. Success will come from being resilient, being proactive, trying and getting rejected. And actually, that's what will make you successful. So yeah, enjoy, be proactive, try, put some applications in, and good luck.
Thanks, Remy. And did you want to give a quick overview of the MIT?
Yeah, we can do. Currently, as in available to you guys, if you're currently interested in doing some virtual scholarship, which are fully funded with MIT in the US, which is, if you're not aware of what MIT is, go and look them up. It's probably one of the most impressive universities in the world. We are currently proactively offering scholarships to all of our students who are part of our university partners, so Goldsmiths being one, around all sorts of subjects. As I said, they're virtual internships, they're online applications, and all the learning is done virtually. So if you want to go through the process of learning how to apply for virtual internships and virtual scholarship, this is a really, really good example. Click on the link, go and have a look. And for me, again, if you're looking at potentially applying for roles in the future, this is a good example of showing that you've been proactive in applying for other experiences.
Great, thanks, Remy. And I've just shared the link in the chat there.
Yeah, and if anyone's got any questions on the process or how to apply or wants any info, just connect with me on LinkedIn and chuck questions at me or email Ed, and I'm sure you can forward questions on to me anyway. Yeah,
definitely.
Thank you.
Great, thanks very much. Thanks, Remy. And now really delighted to have Malikah join us, who took part in the virtual global opportunity this summer. So I'm going to this is the main event. We want to hear all about your experience, Malikah. So do you just want to introduce yourself, what you're studying and what you did over the summer?
Yeah, so I'm Malikah. I'm currently studying at Goldsmiths, studying psychology. I'm in my second year. And I did the global opportunity virtually, obviously, over this summer. So after my first year exams, I worked with an NGO based in Cape Town in South Africa. I sort of heard through Goldsmiths, applied, got funding and everything, which was great. That helped me to ensure I could fulfill the internship, and it was super rewarding and fun, and it was really great experience that applied to my studies that I'm doing now, and it was a really good use of my time, I think, when we couldn't leave the house, we couldn't, let alone the country, so it was great to be able to do that and make my, I guess it's a bit awkward to say make yourself stand out, but that's exactly what it does. It shows that you've done something beyond just your examinations, really.
Fantastic. And can you, what do you think were your highlights of the program you did?
I think my highlight would be the module that I created. So the NGO was for at-risk children who were struggling in school or were out of school, and they brainstormed that a lot of girls felt that they weren't being taught things that they could apply in real life, and they felt specifically issues around bullying by their peers that were being ignored by their teachers. And so I created a module for girls aged 11 to 17. It was 90 pages, so it was quite a lot, made to last for 3 or 4 months. And it was definitely my highlight. It's very rewarding. They've started teaching it to the girls, which is really nice. And it helped cover a lot of things. I hope it's useful to them, stuff around tackling issues like period poverty, because girls have to miss out on school days or weeks every month, so they fall behind. And so I helped, as part of that, set up a sort of station in the centre for girls to go to get products for free, so they don't have to miss out on school, and sort of tackle issues that perhaps are being ignored by their teachers or their elders around bullying, dealing with bullying, the types of bullying, and especially with South Africa's sort of attitudes around sexual health. It's obviously it's to be taught, but it is down to the teacher's discretion. So the girls felt it would be really useful to learn about things that don't get covered in the classroom. So that was definitely be my highlight.
So fantastic. Sounds like such a great project. I keep on reading your case study, and the more I read it, the more impressive and better it sounds. But it's interesting how you talk about it. Like, how is it doing this virtually? Like, how do you think it would have been kind of being there, and what were the pros and cons of that?
Yeah, I'd definitely say there are always, some cons regarding internet connection. That was definitely an issue. We had all our meetings on Zoom, and there are also, with it being global, but you're not there, differences in time zones. So they may be asleep when you email for help. Luckily, South Africa is just an hour ahead, so it was okay. But that's definitely can be a big con, especially with students that were in the US. They were, yeah, unfortunately they had to wake up quite early. But I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons with it being virtually. It's more accessible. So one of the things that I was told was that this internship was new with the NGO. It was their first time because they're in an area in a township called Crossroads, which is notoriously violent. So they weren't allowed to do any internships in person. So I thought that was really important that they could reach out virtually and still get experience and spread some wisdom over a screen. And with regards to accessibility, like physical accessibility, being in a wheelchair, it's difficult to travel alone and also for extended periods. So it was nice to be able to do something that, you know, in reality, I wouldn't have been able to do a 6-week internship there myself. So I think it was definitely worthwhile. It was worth the internet cutting out and stuff.
And you achieve so much as well. And I do think something about these opportunities, you know, I mean, for the last 6 months, I've been working from home, connecting virtually with everybody, whether they're in the UK or in Japan or in the US. And actually the skills you've gained from this, again, as a recruiter, I would see, you know, there's so much evidence there to kind of that looks good in terms of kind of applying it to another job in the future, I think. Kind of leads me on to what did you learn? You've kind of touched on this already, but what did you learn in terms of your studies and your career? What skills did you learn?
I think I learned important skills around communication, which is definitely underrated. Everyone thinks, you know, you chat and you can communicate, but it's something that's hard to demonstrate. And I think having a virtual global opportunity sort of shows that I have ticked that box essentially. And I also, on the side, I did learn important stuff around community and some of the issues that individuals might face, which is really important to me as a psychology student, because opportunities that are practical can be quite difficult before you've got your degree. So whether you want to go into anything therapeutic or you know, with psychology, it's quite difficult to get experience before you are certified. So this was really important to me because one of the issues leaving after graduation is showing that you have the skills beyond getting a good grade. So I think I definitely learnt how to be sensitive to people's issues, how to communicate with barriers between you, which include language barriers. So it was really important in that sense.
Fantastic. And you're so right that the evidence to say, you know, I'm a good communicator, I achieved this, which I so often see in applications. We say I can communicate really well, but there's not necessarily evidence to back that up. So fantastic. And just how did you find the placement in the first place? Because that is, I think, a challenge for, you know, I know that we provide funding to students and then students have to find the placement themselves, and we do offer that support to try and help. But how did you go about finding it?
So I was put in, I discovered goabroad.com, obviously through the career blasts that Goldsmiths give, and I'm really grateful for that. I would not have heard of it otherwise, but I explored a few sites. So Go Abroad, Go Overseas, and there was a lot of internships out there, but not a lot of them had yet transferred onto virtual. So that was the one thing that I had to look out for. But I found the internship in South Africa through VA Corps, which was on the Go Abroad website. I sort of reached out, I looked at past interns' experiences to sort of guide me, and I applied. I went through a few interviews, but I knew that funding would be an issue for me. So it was really great to know that that support was there through the team at Goldsmiths, through Santander, and I applied for that. I took my time with it. I made sure that I found somewhere that I knew I wanted to intern, and sort of expressed that it held value in the applications, whether it be for with another company or with funding. I thought it was important to show that it's something I was passionate about, which I think helps with any application really.
I think you've just mentioned, Malikah, I think for me, which is essential, is use your career service, get your application checked, get some feedback on your cover letter, get your feedback on your CV, update your LinkedIn profile. All those bits for me is the must do before you even apply.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, thanks, Remy. That's so important. And yeah, we do have, as I mentioned on the blog, there's some guidance on applying, and you're also very welcome to get in touch with us to ask any questions prior to application as well. Just before, if anyone has any questions, please do add them into the chat. But I guess my final question for you, Malikah, is what any tips for future participants?
Yeah, I guess make sure you have the time. Is important. You find something that you're passionate about, so don't go for the first one that accepts you, I guess. And if you get rejected, which may happen, just pick yourself up, think what you were lacking or what you could go for that's different. Widen. I guess this is all about widening opportunities and things, getting out of your comfort zone, like Remy said, doing things you wouldn't have done otherwise. And just be brave about it. These people don't know you, it's okay. And you can make really important connections that you weren't expecting. Like in our internship, they offered language lessons in Afrikaans, and they took us on, well, virtually obviously, they took us around the area, and it's really rewarding. You can stay in contact with these people afterwards. And I guess also I would say set alarms as well if you find a place. It can be early morning or late at night. So just make sure you're committed and it's something you enjoy. And yeah, just go for it. Don't hold back.
And the application process, from my experience, for virtual internship and scholarship is actually easier than physical ones. So yeah, it's definitely worth putting the time and effort in.
Great. Well, Malikah, I'm actually going to share your blog, the blog post that we put on the Go Abroad blog in the side. So if people want to read a little bit more, then they can. And there's lots of other kind of links also to your blog, doesn't it, Malikah? But which is great. This is really, really fantastic to see. But on the Go, also lots of other student experiences as well that you can read about. I see there is a question from Emily. What makes a successful applicant?
I think for me, Emily, it's all about demonstrating your passion and your why, your purpose. Why are you interested? Why do you want to take part in that experience? Why do you want to put yourself out there? Definitely, that's number one. But also, what do you bring? What value can you add to the organization? Or to the people you're going to work with. And when you do that, I think the key is to put some tangible example, not just describing yourself as hardworking or confident, or, give me some example of things you've done that really shows that you've put yourself out there.
Yeah, I would agree with everything that Remy said, and I also think from a funding point of view, from our side, we really want you to, I think, answer the question is one of the big things. So, why is this particular opportunity important for you? So Malikah's already said that really fantastically, that show that passion for this opportunity. We have a certain amount of funding that we can give, and if a student says, oh, I'm not that bothered about this opportunity, it doesn't, we're not going to give any funding probably to that student. So why do you want to do it? What's your motivation? How's it going to impact your skills, your kind of career and studies? Yeah, give as much detail as you can. Don't necessarily overwrite, but just give the detail and back up your kind of rationale and your reasons. And yeah, just make sure you complete the form correctly as well. I know that sounds really silly, but from my point of view, you know, looking at kind of spelling mistakes or kind of missing bits out or not answering the question, that's almost the basic level, and you know, can actually really make a difference. So, and as Remy said already, like, do get someone to read over the application in advance. That's really helpful. Are there any other questions?
I was going to say there is no room for anything of that sort. Spelling mistakes, unprofessional email address, definitely worth checking out your social media footprint in some ways, just making sure it's reasonable. I think it's just little details that can make a real big difference. I mean, not so much for scholarship and internship as such, but certainly the moment you go down the route of applying for, you know, graduate roles, I think it's important that, you know, you manage, as I said in the conversation yesterday, you manage your personal brand, which can be scary if some of you are still first, second year, but it's the reality of it.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Remy. I'm aware that we're just coming towards the end, so I mean, a big thank you to Malikah there. But if there are any more questions, then last chance to ask. I'm just going to give you next steps. So as I said, at the moment, applications aren't open for opportunities, but you can sign up for our Global Opportunities newsletter. I'm just going to share the link in the chat now, and we have a VLE page as well. So the links to these can be found on our contact page on our website, which I'm just going to share here. Start researching now. As Malikah said, there's lots of opportunities out there that might be interesting or might not be for you, and just do start researching. Read our Go Abroad blog. We also have a survey that we've got out. You may already have completed it, but we're trying to find out from students what exactly are the kind of things that you would like us to support with. So I'm sharing, oh, that's come out very big in the chat, so I'm just going to share in a second. Please do take the time to complete this survey as well. But those are kind of the next steps in terms of getting involved, and just to keep an eye, we will be putting things in student news when we do launch things. A final kind of quote from another student who was funded to do a Helsinki summer school, which is hopefully supportive as well. And just as a final, here's contact details. So go abroad at gold.it.uk for any kind of follow-up questions. And as Remy said, I'm happy to forward on any questions from you to Remy as well. Check out our website. I'm going to share a little evaluation form if you have a moment to complete in terms of how this presentation has been. A big thank you to Malikah for sharing her experience, and just also for writing so beautifully about it on the blog as well. It's been really great to hear how impactful it was, and thank you for Remy for joining as well, and sharing your experience, and generally thanks to Santander for all the funding that you provide, because we wouldn't be able to support so many students without it, so it's really appreciated. Are there any final questions from anybody? It's been a very whistle-stop tour, but hopefully it's given you an introduction.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. Well, thanks very much, everybody. Thanks for joining. Have a great rest of your day and afternoon. Thanks, Remy and Malikah again. And yeah, look forward to some applications.
Yes.
Take care.